Back on the Young Turks, Cenk Uygur with you, but all of a sudden we have an in-studio guest who I love. Well, I don't mean on a personal level, although we'll get to that in a second. No, Megan Daum is a Los Angeles Times columnist, and she has this great column where she writes about funny and interesting things. And Megan, before we start, I got to ask you, it's such a sweet job because you seem to write about all the fun things in the world. Like that's why I'm wondering, like, how does one get a job like that?
Well, you missed me during the election because I wrote plenty of stuff that was not so sweet or fun. Although I did have the pleasure of being able to compare Hillary Clinton to an old comfortable sofa and Barack Obama to an Eames chair. So that was fun. How did I get the job? It's not a terribly exciting story. I've been a writer for a long time. I've written a couple books, was a magazine writer. I had moved to LA and I'd been here for a few years, and I was writing calendar features for the LA Times, and somehow I ended up kind of auditioning to be an opinion columnist, and they liked me enough, so they gave me the gig.
All right, that's awesome. Okay, doesn't have to be an exciting story. I'm just curious.
If I think of something more exciting, I'll interrupt.
Sure.
I'll revise it.
Okay, you like to make something up? That's fine. No. So this week, or last week actually, you wrote about Burger King's new body spray.
Yes, this is hard-hitting stuff. Because, the election is over, and what do we have now? I mean, we have Obama's cabinet appointees, but this is the real news. There was sort of a novelty item that was brought out by Burger King, the fast food restaurant, in the mode of Axe body spray, for instance. It was a cologne, presumably for men, but I guess, not necessarily, that smelled ostensibly like Burger King meat. The way they were packaging it was that it had the scent of seduction with a hint of flame-broiled meat, and it was called Flame.
Okay, now that's too funny, okay, for a number of reasons. But I just want to make sure this is real, right?
Yeah, no, it was totally real. And like you, when I first read about it, I thought, oh, that's a joke, and the late-night hosts were joking about it. But it was actually true, and, adding to the sort of mystique and mythology of it all, although it's not a myth, is the fact that it just sold out instantly. It was sold. They had a deal with Ricky's Pharmacy in New York, the drugstore chain. So they were selling it exclusively at Ricky's and on the Fire Meets Desire website, and it sold out. It was $3.99 for each unit.
At least it's reasonable.
Yeah, well, and it's the Burger King brand. You don't want to upset the brand. You don't want to go too high. It was $3.99, but within a few days, it was totally sold out, and eBay was selling it.
If I want to get Flame Cologne, I can't pick it up at my local Burger King.
No, it was never available at Burger King.
Okay, so now what's interesting is I read your article on it is men are attracted to the smell of burgers and cooking
evidently
meat, and women are more attracted to the smell of chocolate, for example.
Yeah, this was not information that I had. I consulted a scent expert, and she's done a lot of research on this. She's a scholar, apparently they've conducted elaborate research studies, and men respond to the smell of meat the way women respond to the smell of chocolate. So
the cologne named Flame, worn by men, would attract presumably other men.
It seems so.
Okay.
It seems so.
All right. I haven't said a word. I'm just putting the information out there so people know. Okay. Okay.
Yeah, and the way they were marketing it, there's a character, the Burger King. I don't know if we were aware of this. There's the Burger King. It's like the analog to Ronald McDonald. So on the website, you just saw him in sort of a loincloth. He was naked with his crown on and covered with a sort of animal fur.
As the king should be.
He was the sort of spokesmodel for the product.
All right, I'm not going to go any further than that on that. Okay, so now, by the way, the king is cool. Burger King's been for a long time trying to do all these ads. Ever since I was a kid, they had herb or whatever, and it was all a total failure. But the king, when they started doing the ads of him tackling people and put into the NFL footage, was kind of badass.
See, I missed this totally. I wasn't aware of the king zeitgeist.
Oh, yeah, totally. He's badass.
Okay.
So he would definitely wear Flame. But the fact that it's attracting other men, I find to be humorous.
But maybe he could get away with it. You know, it
well,
takes a real man to wear flame.
Oh, absolutely, no question. Now, but this is not alone. Burger King's not alone in doing this. There's cologne that has the smell of sweat and semen in it?
Yeah, there's a whole market, evidently, for unusual scents. So I did a little research, and this is just a few. I'm sure there are many, many more. There's a French perfume company that has a product called Secrétions Magnifiques. And that is supposed to smell like a mixture of blood, sweat, and semen.
Yum, yum.
Which, you know, I don't know what
now, do they use actual blood, sweat, and semen for that?
Wasn't that a band from the 70s? I don't know. I would assume, although it's France, I don't know. I would assume that it's synthetic.
I hope.
Yeah, but that is actually, that pales in comparison to a Tom Ford cologne. You know, the fashion designer Tom Ford has a cologne called Black Orchid that he has said himself he created with the intention of having it smell like a man's crotch.
Yum, yum. Is Tom Ford gay or no?
I don't know.
Okay, now he's
what does that have to do with it?
Okay, because I mean, look, I'm keeping it real here. If you said to me, you know, here's a cologne that smells of a man's crotch, I wouldn't imagine that as a straight guy, but maybe I would.
But it would be
maybe it attracts women like, male crotch.
You have to kind of do a little bit of math there, because it's like if I wear chocolate because I like it, then I'm going to attract other women, and you know, is that what you want? You got to kind of do a little bit of metric there.
Megan, have you ever met a woman in your life who's attracted to the smell of male crotch?
No.
I haven't either. Not to my knowledge. Okay, have I met guys who might be? Maybe. Okay,
yeah.
So I'm not sure they're hitting the right target demos here. But there's a whole bunch of colognes that do it, etc. Okay, Megan Daum is a columnist for the LA Times. Megan, before we let you go, I love this story. You came in here and you said that you don't like New Year's.
No!
What is that all about? And then you said your other least favorite holiday, which I found to be a sin. Go ahead. And what is that?
Halloween.
What's going on?
Yeah, these are the two most overrated holidays of the year.
It's indefensible, that position.
Well,
okay.
We can take it outside.
All right. Now, here's my thought on why Halloween and New Year's are fun. Now, I was single until recently. As for single folks, those are the two holidays that you get laid the most in. So, isn't that like reason alone?
But you get laid in a way. First of all, Halloween. Why is this the women dress like sluts and men dress up like women holiday?
I mean,
why? Why?
Something had to be.
But you're getting laid. See, it's kind of like, what kind of cologne do I wear? Because you're getting laid, but you might be dressed as a woman.
Oh yeah, that's a whole nother thing.
But that's not. But it's tied in.
Yeah,
it's
but
of
you
a
see,
piece.
no, but that's why Halloween's great though. Because it allows people to have these fantasies and to live out the fantasies. Now, those guys that get dressed as girls, there's a little part of them that's always wanted to do that a little bit.
Yeah, like the entire football team in high school. They always dressed like girls on Halloween.
Right. So, God bless them. Let them be a cross-dresser for a day. Let them live it out, you know? And the girls who dress, quite, you know, also scantily, they want to do that for a day. God bless them. Let them go.
Okay.
Let them go. You see what I'm saying?
Okay. Then they can wear the Burger King cologne along with it.
Yeah, why not? That makes perfect sense. In fact, you can go as the king in the loincloth. Right?
That's going to be the hot new costume next year.
Think about it.
No more Sarah Palin, the king.
All right, now, and what's wrong with New Year's?
New Year's? No, it's just like so much pressure to have fun, and you got to spend a lot of money, and you know, it is as I said, it's my goal. Not every year in the last 5 or 6 years. I want to be in bed by 11:55 p.m. You can celebrate on another time. I celebrate like mountain time.
I like that mountain time. I'll give you that one. But the only reason, of course, I'm in favor of it for the same stupid reason as before. I hooked up a couple of times on New Year's Eve, like, woo, yeah, let's celebrate 99. And then that leads to good things, so...
But you were saying that like 2 years ago. See, you didn't even know what year it was.
Yeah, that's true. But that's part of the fun of New Year's Eve. But I will agree with you. Spending money on New Year's Eve, like, oh, you have to pay $200 to get into this thing. Don't do it.
At least, yeah.
No, don't buy into the hype. No way. I'm against that completely. All right, Megan Daum is from the Los Angeles Times. It's been great having you here. We really appreciate it.
Thank you.
We'll be right back. Young Turks.